So I'm Joseph Lindsay, or Joe Lindsay, depending on how you know me. But I'm from Boise, Idaho. More specifically, I'm from Meridian, Idaho. And I went to school at BYU, Idaho, which doesn't really have a motion design program. So mostly, um, I think when I was younger, I just used to make a lot of little videos here and there, and I was always interested in it. And before my LDS mission, I wanted to go to film school. That's what I wanted to do, and I came back and ended up going to BYU Idaho instead. It felt like I should stay there, and I did. And then I had got my feet wet with one class at BYU Idaho. It was a After Effects class. Um, you had to have some kind of Photoshop background, and I didn't have a lot, so I kind of lied and said that I did, so I could get in the class. And since that class, I just was like, I got to learn After Effects. And I remember during a break for school, about a 4-month break, I just went to, of course, the famous Andrew Kramer's website, Video Copilot, took the basic tutorials and spent, about 4 months just learning After Effects. And I guess the reason I did that was I couldn't find a job while I was on break from school. And I remember my dad saying to me, like, well, so you can't find a job, you probably should just, make something up that allows you to learn something. So installed the free trial of After Effects, and that's what I just did. I woke up every morning and just went straight and worked on After Effects all day. So like, by the time I went back to school, I was pretty good at After Effects.
Nice. What year in school were you in this point?
I was a freshman when that was the case. So I feel like if I hadn't done that, I would, I looked back then, I was like, as far as After Effects knowledge at BYU Idaho, I was like far ahead the curve above everyone else. That may not, they may have more classes now, but back then it was like I was like the only one that really knew a ton about how the program worked.
And then didn't you work on a lot of, what did you work on at BYU Idaho? I've seen some of the work because you knew Kurt Daniels and that crew.
Yeah. So there was a student agency, and it's changed its name. It's ICOM Student Agency, and then we changed its name later to Soapbox Agency. And so it's all student run by the school, and it was a great learning opportunity. And I worked with obviously Kurt Daniels. I worked with him, and we made videos. And I ended up doing a lot of motion graphics for a lot of different videos, and some cinematography work too. That's my other love besides motion graphics, is doing cinematography.
And so you went to BYU Idaho, did the agency thing at BYU Idaho, then how did you further your career once you got out? You did an internship, right?
Yeah, I did it. I kind of feel like my internship was okay. It was just to fulfill the assignment of having an internship to graduate. I just worked for the church's IT department making training videos, doing motion graphics for that, and just doing these simple, like, I guess you could say, explainer type videos about information technology, kind of training on the security systems and how they set those up at the Riverton office building for the church, for the LDS church. And so I did that for about 7 months, and then I ended up working at Saxton Horne shortly afterwards.
And what are you doing at Saxton Horne nowadays? Kind of explain to everybody your role, what you do.
Yeah. So I am a motion designer, particularly at Saxton Horne. That's what I do every day. I do also, every once in a while, we'll have video shoots, and we'll go and shoot some video, and I'll be participating in that either as a camera operator, cinematographer, boom operator, pretty much anything and everything, just depending what is needed. Like we're just a small crew, but most every day it's just every day's After Effects. That's what it is. And we work on a lot of car commercials. So
tons of car commercials.
Way too many car commercials.
I remember when I did freelance, and I think TJ he said the client came back and they want more explosions. So so I had to go I had to go back and get more stock footage of explosions and just put it in there.
Yeah, they do like they want things to a lot of these car commercials. They want it to be in your face. They call it the yell cell, and they want to just yell at you. It's like you're gonna miss out on this great deal if you don't hurry now. Blah blah blah. They want it to be super exciting and super like just energy with it. But just being here, I've seen that has been kind of going away as of lately. We're getting a lot of GMs that are trying to stand out because everyone else does it. Everyone else in the state or any other state, for that matter, that's exactly what they do. So to be different, you got to do something different. So fortunately, we've had a lot of new clients recently that are kind of changing direction on that, and they're going away from the yell cell and more to something a little bit more polished and nice looking and less rush too.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. So do you have any goals like in the future where you want to go with motion graphics or your career? Have you thought of that?
Oh, yeah, I've thought of that a lot. Just different things I want to do. I think long shot, I would love to get a Vimeo staff pick. I think that would be my ideal dream of
what is
ultimate dream in life. A Vimeo staff pick.
Oh, Vimeo staff pick. Yeah, that would be sweet.
I think it'd be awesome to get a Vimeo staff pick. Just because it just it'd be nice to have that. I think that's my biggest goal and dream in life right now is get one. I guess I don't have any plans to achieve it. I just want to. I probably should be making plans on that, but.
So what's your schedule like? What's the day in the life of Joseph Lindsay? Joe Lindsay or Joseph, depending on the person.
How detailed do you want?
What time do you wake up in the morning? What time do you go to work? When do you have time to practice on your skills? Are you doing any freelance projects, stuff like that?
So my schedule is basically I just, wake up in the morning, eat a nice bowl of cereal and go to work. And then go get to work at 9, and then I work till about 5. That's a usual day. And I go home. But don't do any freelance as of right now. I do some occasionally, but I don't particularly like to do a ton of freelance because I like to, use that time to do my own things, whether that's an old, personal project or playing guitar or I don't know, playing a video game. The other thing. But yeah, that's basically my schedule. So.
And how long have you been at Saxton Horne? It's been about 3 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been about 3 years. So I've been at Saxton for 3 years. I think the only reason I've been here so long is just because, the two guys I work with here are great. TJ Packer is really great, and Abe Sloan, really great people to work with. So I think that's the biggest reason why I've stayed here so long. But but we're hiring. We have an empty chair if anyone's looking in the valley. So
that's good to know for people listening that you guys are hiring. No, I second that your coworkers are awesome to work with. They're great people.
They are great people. They're really talented and on what they do.
So what type of advice would you give someone if they're trying to apply for Saxton Horne as a motion designer?
Um, I think the biggest thing we're looking right now is, even though I'm learning cinema now to fill that need, I think having someone that has knowledge, really good knowledge in cinema, and the other thing is in design, in graphic design, is having both of those kind of under your belt, and be very fluent in graphic design and be very fluent in cinema. And of course, also After Effects. That's also an important one. But I think with this hire, we're stressing having 3D motion graphics work.
Nice. What so you mentioned design, and I don't know if there's a lot of us who haven't had a chance to study graphic design. What do you do, or do you know of any good tactics to study graphic design to get better at it?
Yeah, I do. I think there are tons of books out there. I have a few books on my desk um, that I could that I have that I use as reference. I think just having references and going on to like places like Dribble and Behance and just looking what other people have done. I think a few ones like thinking with Ellen Lupton's Thinking with Type. Her book is really great. She just goes over the history of typography and just different types of, how font pairings work, and I've read through that. And same with like Graphic Design, The New Basics by same author. Both great books. I think they even use those books for in some colleges as their books for their classes. So I think those are two really good books. But I think the basic thing is just going on Behance and just finding things that you like, or Design Inspiration is another great website. You just going to those websites and just pulling things into your kind of library that you like. And I think also the other thing is just taking those and recreating them. You don't ever have to show anybody those things or use them. I would recommend not to use them for a client, but to recreate those things and figure out how they did those things. I remember learning After Effects and seeing the Sherlock Holmes title sequence with the paper and the ink bleeds. I remember thinking to myself, I'm going to recreate that. And so I did. I recreated it as best as I could as far as the knowledge I have. If I went back and did it now, I could do it, 10 times better. But when I was, younger and doing that, I was really proud that I was able to, to kind of get close and to recreate that. And so I think not just only that, but just taking something you see and going, oh, I want to do that, and just remake it. It's a great way to learn. Especially, even you can do that with graphic design as well. Just seeing something and taking that and just redoing it. Why, and you're able. I think you're able to learn new skills in the software because of that. Because you're just asking questions the entire time. Well, how do I do this and how do I do that? So I think that's a great way to learn things and to get better at things.
I think you're right. I think even for me, because I never had the chance to study graphic design or art or anything like that in school. So
I didn't
looking
either.
at what did you study in school?
So I was a communications major. So I did I was video emphasis, so I had some video classes that I took. But a lot of the comm classes are pretty much all encompassing. So it was like public speaking or just a lot of just like visual communications, a little bit of like website design, like learning HTML5 and stuff like that. Just a little bit of everything. There wasn't really like anything, any design class I had. But I think what's helped me is I have a brother who's a graphic designer, and I've just absorbed a lot of information from him. Because I'll make something and I'll show him and he'll give me a critique on it. It's like, oh, this could be better and blah blah blah. I think that just brings up another point: is just being around graphic designers. Get some graphic designer friends. that are really good at graphic design. Here at work, we've got a bunch of designers, and I pull them in all the time and ask them to look at some of the stuff I have that to help me make it better. So I think just having graphic designer friends and just asking for help.
Yeah, I think that's big. Both what you said, looking at good work and trying to copy it. I know some people aren't fans of doing that to learn, but I am a fan of doing it. I think it helps me out a lot. And then yes, asking a graphic designer to help you out totally helps. Just to be humble to say, hey, I don't know this, or this looks crappy. Can you make this look better? Or can you help me make this look better? And then I almost think just not giving up. So if you create crappy stuff, just don't give up and know that with time you'll be able to get better. I think that says a lot too. It does a lot.
And I think that goes back to that "you're a glass" quote about just to keep going. I guess his quote is just so great. I don't know the quote off the top of my head.
What are you talking about?
Have you heard that "you're a glass" quote? If I can find it.
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't.
So I'll read it. I've got it right here. It's such a great quote. And nobody tells this to people who are beginners. I wish someone told me. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there's this gap. For the first couple of years you make stuff, it's just not that good. It's trying to be good. It has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer. And your taste is why your work disappoints you. A lot of people never get past this phase. They quit. And most people I know who do interesting, creative work went through this, years of this. We know our work doesn't have the special thing that we want it to have. We all go through this. And if we are just starting out or you're still in this phase, you got to know it's normal. And most important thing you can do is a lot of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week you finish one story. It's going to be through a volume of work that you will close the gap. And your work will be as good as your ambitions. And I took longer to figure out how to do this than anyone I've ever met. It's going to take a while. It's normal to take a while. You just got to fight your way through it. And that totally is so true. It's like I feel like I'm just starting to meet my level of my taste of things that I like that I'm able to produce. I look back in college and my work sucked, honestly.
Yeah.
And there's still aspects today that I know, certain aspects in some of the stuff I make that I have weak points in, and they're not up to my taste, my creative taste.
Right.
I can't. Yeah. I'm not at that point yet.
No, I am far from where I would like to be, but I also know the effort of what it takes to get there. And sometimes I think, oh, do I have the energy to expend that effort? But it just takes a lot of work. I think too, what helped me a lot, I just took a course from what's his name? Joey. He does the animation boot camp. So I took the course and it just dove down into the graph editor and really taught some of the principles of animation. And I thought that totally helped me. And it's kind of humbling saying like, I'm going to take a class to get better.
Oh,
and I'm
totally.
going to pay all this money. It's really humbling because you're kind of telling yourself I'm not that great. But
yeah.
I feel like there's some educators out there that actually do a really good job of teaching and helping you get to that next level and helping your work become better. And that really helped me. Yeah.
Totally.
It's a journey. It's such a journey.
Yeah. I think Joey is a really good teacher as well, like just a lot of his stuff. I like his philosophy on animation with the graph editor and After Effects about, you get all these things like ease and whiz and a lot of these shortcuts, and flow is the one that they mention on their website as a shortcut to doing easies and ease ins and ease outs.
Yeah.
And they're great when you want to be fast. But I think if you learn the graph editor and how it works, it makes your life 10 times easier later on, because you kind of have the picture in your head of how the graph works. It's like, well, if I draw this shape, my shape is going to do this exact thing. I know that because that's what the shape is making.
Yeah.
And just having that, in your belt of tools to be able to just look at the graph editor, so I can read that. I understand what it's doing.
Yeah.
It's such an important thing, because once you do that, it will apply to any software, animation software you will ever work with, whether that's Cinema or After Effects or I don't know, even Photoshop. Even I think they've got linear. You can do linear keyframes now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, even if you do frame by frame, you can still apply the same principles of animation as well.
Oh, totally.
That's where it all stems from.
Yeah, and because you know how that graph works, so you know where to put your frames at. You know how, like, well, if I'm drawing this, then I know I need to put, if I'm going to ease in, I need to do a few frames to the left of it, just when it's really fast, and then when it gets near its ending point, I need to do a lot of little individual frames for it, so it slows down at that other point. So, just seeing that, you gain that kind of thing in your head, so it makes animation way easier for you.
Yeah. So how are you enjoying Salt Lake and the motion scene there? Are you meeting together with other motion designers right now, or is it kind of on standstill because we haven't had any meetups status?
I think it's mostly just been on standstill because we haven't had any meetups lately. So I think the last one I remember going to was the Nick Campbell meetup.
That was a really long time ago.
It was a really long time ago.
Really long.
Too long. Because because that was when I met Nick again. I was like, he asked me, he's like, are you guys still doing that? I said,
remember. That's crazy.
He did remember. He didn't remember who I was, but I just told him, say, Nick, I met you before you were at the Salt Lake meetup. He's like, oh yeah, is that still going on? And I was like,
kind of ish.
Yeah. We're messaging each other on Facebook, but that's about the extent of it.
Yeah.
People are just posting stuff they're working on, and I do love going on that Facebook group and seeing things people are posting, and I feel like I need to participate more in it, and post most comments.
You should, yeah. I think
feel like
so. I talked. Oh, go ahead.
I feel like it's our own. Have you ever heard of the website Mixed Parts?
No. Wait, yes, I have. I have heard that. Yeah. It's so exclusive. I don't even know what it is.
It is. It's very exclusive. So Mixed Parts is basically anybody who's anybody in motion design. They're like, some of the top. They're all really good. Like, you click on their people, because you can click on these people that are posting. You click on their names, and they've got the dribble page. And or their Twitter or whatever.
Super good.
They've got their website, and their work is all really good. Everyone that posts there, you've got to be good to be on. Like, this guy I just clicked on, he has a stat pick on Vimeo. That's like how good they are. So I feel like our little kind of Facebook group is our own little Mixed Parts, where we just talk about kind of emotion things. I lurk over Mixed Parts all the time, every day, just seeing what people are posting, because they always post some cool stuff, inspirational stuff or some cool tools. And
so, who are you following? I'm curious. I feel like I'm following that same crew, and they're all just super good and exclusive, and I feel an idiot sometimes for following them because I'm not that good.
Oh, I think it's important. I think they would, if they heard this, they'd probably say, no, totally. Like, it's just, surrounding yourself with people that are better than you is my philosophy. It's just, I always feel like I need to be around people that are better than me at different things, because that's the only way I can get better. There was a time in, like, when I was at BYU, Idaho, and I'm not trying to, boast about anything, but I was at BYU Idaho, it's hard not to be the best motion designer at BYU Idaho because you're in Rexburg and there's not a program for it. So when you're the best person, there's not people there that are better than you. They say, well, that's not very good. And, now that I'm in the world with a lot of people, even in our own group, that are, sometimes are even better than me, it's great to have those people to go to and ask questions about, and they might have knowledge, and the same vice versa. It's just, having that, that community where you can just go and get input and to help you get better.
Yeah. No, I think it's important to have a group that has a safe environment so you don't, like, the beginner doesn't feel like an idiot asking questions.
Oh, totally.
I think that's important to just make it safe.
I think even with your own self is participating, and when someone is new and asking for critique is giving them honest and nice, not an evil and bashing their work, but helping them to become better and saying, oh, you could have done this better, you could have done this better, and let me teach you how to do that. And it helps them, and I honestly believe it helps you as a person and helps you become better, because you're explaining the things that you learned, and I feel like it kind of cements those things in your head even more, some of the things that you've learned, because you're now telling that to somebody else.
I guess one last question. What do you think is the future of motion in Salt Lake? Do you think I almost look at the talent at BYU in the animation program. I think there's going to be more, the whole Disney grasp isn't too tight. I think more of those students are going to come into the scene and really have impressive work, I think.
I think as a motion designer now, and I've been kind of working with this because we did some web ads that are for Utopia, actually. We did some web ads that are full. They're 100%, they're responsive web ads. So you can shrink them, you can make them big, you can make them small, and they're fully animated. And I animated in After Effects. And it's that interactive web design or motion graphic design in a web format. And there's a plugin called Body Movin that I feel like that there's no information about it. I had to basically dig down and figure things out. And I think the way that motion design is going towards interactive, because if we look at our phones, all the different apps are starting to have animation on them. So I think the benefit right now, if anything, as a 2D motion designer, is learning how Body Movin works, the extension for After Effects, and how that creates content for the web, or Body Movin with Airbnb's their kind of script and plugin for Apple apps is Lottie, and learning that as well, so that you can take your motion design and work with a developer and build animation for apps or websites, just both those kind of things.
So is Body Movin, does it take SVGs and animate SVGs?
Yeah, so it's basically just animated. So it's using JavaScript to animate SVGs. And so as in After Effects, you create your animation, and it only accepts certain types of things. That it only takes shape layers and text layers and trim path and scale and just there's not a ton of parameters. So expressions don't really work very well unless you bake in the expression. So you turn expression to keyframes. That's the only way I've gotten it to work. So, and just understanding those limitations, and you can create some of the cool stuff.
Cool. So have you been creating some? So Body Movin, it translates it into probably the cubic Bezier coordinates on CSS. Oh, it's JavaScript. Okay.
It's JavaScript. So it's a JavaScript JSON file that it creates. So it's basically just a bunch of data. You look at the file, it's just this random data that's hard to really understand what's going on. And
so it can export multiple keyframes, not just two. It can export a sequence of keyframes.
Yes.
Cool. That's cool.
So, and people have been using it to do some really cool interactive websites, and they've been doing it as test, and it's really cool. So, like, if you're like wondering where motion design is going right now, where it could be, it's going that direction. I see it going that direction really fast.